read through the book of Ezekiel several times, 48 chapters. The more I read it, the more profoundly I realize how deep the book is. How many things that are in there, some of which I still don't have full understanding of. So I'll just be as forthright, honest with you as I can possibly be. If I don't know and understand, I'll just speak to that truth. I don't know how I'm going to go about this. I'm not expecting that I'm going to go through every chapter verse by verse. And so we might see the rapture take place prior to us getting through that. We may even see that through the night's over as well. But there's some interesting things that the Lord led Ezekiel to write about, and we're going to touch on some of those. I'd like to begin by reading the first 3 verses, please. Brian, I may need to borrow your readers. I would have them. It came to pass in the 30th year. By the way, Ezekiel, above all the things that he was a chronologist as well. He was really, you're going to find several times he begins the chapters by giving us a chronology, a time slot as to when he's prophesying or speaking things that he's speaking. He begins the book that way. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, and the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin. Now mark that name, Jehoiachin. Jehoiachin was also known as Jeconiah. He was the he was the son of Jehoiakim, who was the son of Joab. Oh, I'll get to that one in a little bit. Jehoahaz as well. So the word of the Lord, verse 3, came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of Chaldeans, by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. Now it's interesting that in this entire book of Ezekiel, you'll only find his name mentioned twice within this book. You'll find it, for instance, in the verse that we just read, verse 3, in chapter 24, if you turn there with me. Verse 24. Unlike the book of Daniel, in which his name is mentioned several times. Chapter 24, verse 24. Thus Ezekiel is unto you a sign, according to all that he hath done shall ye do. And when this cometh, ye shall know that I am the Lord God. I found this interesting in my research and my studying, to find out that there are some who have the opinion among the ancients that Ezekiel was known by another name during that time, by the name of Nazaratus Assyrius, who would have been a contemporary with, and this will just about bore me, Pythagoras. How many of you have ever heard of the Pythagorean theorem? Do any of you know what it is? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem. So that would be kind of nifty if that were true. I don't know that it is. And some even believe that Pythagoras was tutored by Ezekiel. Now, how true that is, I don't know, but there are many of the ancients that take you back to that. He's referred to 93 times in this book as the Son of Man. 93 times he's mentioned that way. The name Ezekiel means strengthened by God. That would be a good child's name, wouldn't it? Ezekiel. Strengthened by God. Seems to be a befitting name for Ezekiel for the ministry to which God had called him to. Look with me at chapter 3, for instance, verses 8 and 9 and verse 14. Ezekiel 3, verses 8 and 9 and verse 14. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and thy forehead strong against their foreheads. What do you think of the prophetical warnings of judgment that he had to let God's people know about? And I mean, he didn't spare anything. He told them exactly as God led him to tell. You need strength to be able to do that, folks. We have so many pastors today that are wishy-washy and weak. They fear people more than what they fear God. It's important that we fear the Lord, and Ezekiel certainly feared the Lord. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and thy forehead strong against their foreheads, as an adamant. Now, an adamant is like a hard piece of flint. Some even translate this as a diamond. Diamond is very hard as well. It will cut even through glass. So this has to do with the hard flint or the diamond. As an adamant, harder than flint. And there you go, it's harder than flint, so it must be a diamond. Have I made thy forehead? Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. Now, can you tell when people are disgusted by how they look? You can say a lot with expressions, facial expressions, can't you? Can you imagine when you're preaching the Word of God and warning people of impending judgment, or you're rebuking them as God would have you to rebuke them? Can you imagine the looks that you might get from the face of people? Disdain for what you're saying, hatred for what you're saying. I mean, looks they don't kill you, or they can really come close to it. I've sat sometimes in preaching, especially funeral services, for whatever reason. Looks on people's faces when you're preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. I mean, you can tell that at best they dislike the things that you're saying. And he being a priest, being a prophet, he dealt a lot with the people. And some of the warnings that he had to sound out, and some of the judgments that was impending that he had to warn the people of, would solicit a lot of different facial expressions. You look at people, and how they look at you can be fearful and set your heart to fear. And so God warns here, Ezekiel about that. Verse 14. So the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit. But the hand of the Lord was strong upon me. So the name Ezekiel means strengthened by God. As we go through this book of Ezekiel, we will see that come to bear, certainly in the life of this man. Now, if you'll turn with me to chapter 14. Chapter 14 and verse 14. We find there that he's contemporary with Jeremiah and Daniel. They are known as the exilic prophets. In other words, they prophesied while they were in exile. So Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and Daniel were the three exilic prophets, along with Habakkuk or Habakkuk as well. Look at chapter 14, verse 14. Though these three, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should but deliver but their own souls by the righteousness said, by their righteousness said the Lord. And also with me from verse 20. Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, saith the Lord God, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. In other words, when God's pending judgment would come, these men's souls would be delivered because of their righteousness. But they alone will be delivered from the wrath of God. Chapter 28, verse 3. It says, Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. So you think of it. When Israel was taken into Babylonian captivity, they were exiled to Babylon. These three men, these four men actually, Ezekiel, Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and Habakkuk, prophesied while they were there under the pressures of the exile. And they were faithful to God and prophesying against the judgment of God upon Babylon, against his people as well, people of Israel. Now, Ezekiel was both a prophet and a priest. In chapter 1, verse 3, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest, So it's interesting. Ezekiel knew much about temple worship as a priest. It's interesting that God has a lot to say through Ezekiel about the prophet, about the temple, and especially about the millennial temple as well. So he uses men like Ezekiel, who is a priest, who would have some knowledge of these things, and he speaks to the fact of these different events that will take place. In chapter 4, verse 7, chapter 1, verse 3, we see where he's a priest. Chapter 4, verse 7. Therefore thou shalt set thy face toward the siege of Jerusalem, and thine arm shall be uncovered, and thou shalt prophesy against it. So he was both priest and prophet. We could also turn to chapter 6 and verse 2. Chapter 6 and verse 2. Son of man, set thy face toward the mountains of Israel, and prophesy against them. The word prophecy is used 27 times in the book of Ezekiel, where he obeys the Lord in prophesying against Israel and against Babylon. He was a priest of the tribe, so that would mean as a priest he'd be of what tribe?
Levi.
He'd be a Levite, okay? So he was a Levite, and let me see that. Chapter 2, verse 5. Can I read that? Chapter 2, verse 5. And they, whether they shall hear or whether they shall forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall ye know that there hath been a prophet among them. Which was reference to Ezekiel. So you see it's twofold position. Christ has a threefold position. One of them is as prophet. The second one is as priest. What's the third one?
King.
As king, that's correct. All right. Look at me in chapter, well, I guess we won't turn to those. As a priest to Israel, he had a great familiarity with the temple, providing strong reason why God chose to use him. We'll find when we come to chapters 8 through 11, he deals with the temple that there was. And then in chapter 47, or chapter 40, verse 1 through chapter 47, verse 12, he deals with the millennial temple. In chapter 3, verse 15, please. And Israel, Jordan, and you have Iraq. How many of you have ever heard of Iraq? Okay, in the southeastern part of Iraq is where Babylon was located. Nineveh was located at the northern part of Iraq, and they're still in existence today. So when we speak of Tel Aviv, that is also a city of which we ought to be familiar in Iraq. Look with me, if you will, chapter 3, verse 15. And this is where he lived. Verse 15. Then I came to them of the captivity at Tel Aviv, that dwelt by the river of Chebar, and I sat there where they sat, and remained there astonished among them 7 days. Chapter 1, verse 1. Speaks about the captives by the river Chebar. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, and the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Chebar, and the heavens were opened, and I saw visions there. That's why I think he probably lived in Tel Aviv, because the vision came to him there by the river Chebar, where he was dwelling. Let's see what we've got here. Chapter 24. Chapter 24, verse 15. Ezekiel was a married man, but his wife died during the captivity. Beginning at verse 15. It says, Also the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, behold, I take away from thee the desire of thine eyes with a stroke. Yet neither shalt thou mourn nor weep, neither shall thy tears rain down Forbear to cry, make no mourning for the dead. Bind the tire of thine head upon thee, and put on thy shoes upon thy feet, and cover not thy lips, and eat not the bread of men. So I spake unto the people in the morning, and at the evening my wife died, and I did in the morning as I was commanded. I mean, you think of the hardships that they had to go through, that God wanted them to go through, that God put them through. The loss of his wife. At this time, it's believed that he was probably about 30 years of age. So he was a young married man. We kind of put them in a setting there in the scriptures and don't recognize that they were people just like us. He was a faithful prophet of God. But God took his wife, allowed his wife to die. Now the scripture says here that she died from a stroke. The Hebrew word is megaphod, and it means a stroke, or it means a blow, or a plague, or a pestilence. So whether she really died from a cerebral stroke, or what it may have been that, I'm not saying that it wasn't, but there are also other options there on the table. She could have died from a pestilence as well, although there's no record of that taking place during that time. So her death seems to have been swift. He was not even allowed to mourn his wife. That would be hard for him. That would be hard. Yeah, that's what. And it shows you his faithfulness to the Lord. Honestly, when you read the life of Ezekiel, men like Ezekiel, you wonder, when you put your life alongside of theirs, if we would be as faithful to God as what these men were. Yet he was on a mission from God. He was in circumstances that were unique to him, that we've never been through, and that's to being captive and held in hostility by a foreign nation, by a king that God had to reckon with and deal with, as he did with Nebuchadnezzar. And yet had to minister to God's people and let them know that they were there because of God's hand of judgment upon them, and deliver to them messages from God that would be hard for any pastor, any person to have to share. God kept his feet, as it were, to the grind, and was not even more his own wife. So I'll stop there. A little bit of introduction to the book of Ezekiel. Kind of information that I hope will be helpful to you in appreciating this man's life as we look at the prophecies that he prophesied. Let's close in prayer. I thank you, Lord God, for the word of God. I thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to share. I pray, dear God, that you would bless in our lives, Father. Help us to be faithful to you, dear God. Help us, Lord, to realize, dear Lord, that you put some of your people through different circumstances, Lord, as you did here this prophet's life. Lord, and how faithful he was to doing exactly what you told him to do. Help us, Lord, to be so surrendered to you, Lord, that we would do exactly what you tell us to do, that would be faithful to you, dear God. Bless now as we go our several ways back to our homes. I pray that you keep us safe. Continue to be with our church family, I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.